Welcome, episode 15, the Brown Bostonian Show. I'm your host, Kevin Parrington Turner, aka the Brown Bostonian, aka Sir South. We back with another one. Need a haircut, but we here nonetheless. It's been a minute since I've been back. Trying to stay more consistent with the show. It's just tough in the summertime. It's getting a little slow, but battle rap is heating up. Battle rap is heating up. There's gonna be a little bit more of that today on the show. It's gonna be a shorter show, but nonetheless, I do want to talk about DeAndre Hopkins, wide receiver. Nice, changes the game. Anytime he's on the field, he's just amazing. DeAndre Hopkins, he signed with the Tennessee Titans, 2 years, $26 million. And as some people know, he was supposed to sign with the New England Patriots. Not supposed to sign, but they was in the race. It was in the race for getting DeAndre Hopkins. And to be honest, it was never gonna happen, people. I mean, yeah, it would have been great. You know, Mac Jones needs a wide receiver. But if we're being completely honest, DeAndre Hopkins was never the guy to go to New England. He just doesn't fit. Hopkins never fit the Patriots. I mean, he would have changed the trajectory of the season tremendously, especially with Bill O'Brien now at the offensive coordinator spot. He would have changed a lot. But he's not there no more. And instead, he's going to be in Tennessee Titans with Mike Vrabel, former Patriot. On my blog, I actually posted a theory that I got. And my theory is I think Mike Vrabel's talking to guys about New England. I mean, when you think about Malcolm Butler, yeah, this past season, he didn't play the season with the Patriots, but he went to training camp, and he was going to play, but then he ended up retiring. But before that, after the Patriots, he didn't play in the Super Bowl. He went to the Titans. And then Dion Lewis, a running back, he didn't get paid from the Patriots, and then he played with the Titans, and then the Titans ended up beating the Patriots in the regular season. And Dion Lewis threw a shot. He said, "You don't want to pay guys. You don't want to pay guys," and that's what happens. And that's exactly what happens. But that's just when Bill Belichick's the guy making the decisions, not just the coaching decisions, but who gets signed, who gets traded. That's what's going to happen. He's a defensive guy. And I think, Robert Kraft, I mean, at this point, he knows football. But if we're being honest, I mean, Bill Belichick, he is a guy you can give a lot of credit to. But I think at this point in his career, I think he's getting too much power, too much say. Because they don't want to spend no money on a wide receiver. Understandably so. Because when we think about the last time a wide receiver came to the Patriots, it was about, when I think of a major guy, I think Antonio Brown. And he only played one game, and that was with Tom Brady. He came because of Tom Brady. And then you got to think back 2007 with Randy Moss. That was the only time we really had some stars as wide receivers. Of course, we had Gronk in like the tight end position, but I'm not counting that. I'm counting wide receivers. Shoot, I'm counting running backs. And we're going to get into running backs too. But as far as wide receivers, the Patriots just don't do that. That's just not who they are. And DeAndre Hopkins, he's great. I think he fits the Titans well. Derrick Henry's going to be, we don't know. And that goes into the next topic of running backs. But we're going to stay on this, but it fits. He fits the Titans. I don't know if he changes the trajectory. It's so wishy-washy with the running backs and wide receivers, especially after a couple of years in the league. It's so iffy whether how much of an impact they have. Same with Odell Beckham going to the Baltimore Ravens. We'll see what happens. But I do think it was a good move for him to get paid $26 million for 2 years. With all he's been through, I don't blame him. I think Bill O'Brien can change the Patriots offense because Karen, shout out to Karen. She works at Mass Live now. She wrote an article for the Boston Herald during the season about how the Patriots, the offense and the Patriots, the offense was a little confused. Coaches expressed that. Karen, who's a great journalist, gives me advice to this day. She wrote an article saying no one knew what was happening as far as offense. It was just all over the place. It was a clusterfuck. Let's keep it 100. And now with Bill O'Brien coming back, he used to be the Texans head coach. I really do think with Hopkins used to be the Texans I thought there was a shot just because Bill O'Brien was the offensive coordinator, and I think that's what kind of made it interesting. But now that he's not, I still think Bill O'Brien can be that guy to help the Patriots offense because they need it much. But if I'm being honest, Patriots never needed a great wide receiver. They need decent wide receivers. They need decent wide receivers. And when you don't want to spend money, you're not going to get decent wide receivers. They need guys who can get separation. They don't have that. Since Tom Brady left, even the last year he was with the Patriots, the type of guys they like to pick are tough, gritty guys. Look at Julian Edelman. Look at Wes Welker. Those guys, they wasn't the greatest at getting separation. They was just tough. They was also short, so they can catch the ball with an inch off the ground. But that's just not working. We don't see any more Julian Edelmans, any more Wes Welkers running around. Doesn't happen. And even then, they wasn't game changers. That's what happens. So I think the Patriots, they need decent receivers. What they had last year wasn't doing it. Sanu, shout out to him, but it wasn't it. And like a lot of other guys, Mitchell, he's going to the Oakland Raiders. It was too much. Hopefully they figure that out. It starts with the coaching staff and Bill O'Brien. He could do that. Mac Jones needs some help. I think it's tough here in New England. It is tough here in New England, especially for a guy like Mac Jones. You gave us a playoff appearance, but we got blown out by the Buffalo Bills the first round. Last year, Zappy came in. He did all right. I think he was a little overrated. You came back. We lost some games. We won some games. It was mostly because of the running game, the special teams, and the defense. It was not because of the offense. It was the offense that needed to pick up. And, New England, we're a very critical city, very critical region, especially in Boston. So shout out to Mac Jones. I think he needs some help, and it's not on him. He's not bad. He's not bad. Do I think he's the answer in New England? I think that's a different conversation to be had. I can't really. I think you got to put some pieces around him, see what happens. Offensive pieces, and they don't have to be stars. They just need to be regular. The guys they had last year was not regular. The offensive line, they need to do better. So yeah, DeAndre Hopkins didn't come to New England. Didn't expect it. Next, it's a topic that's been on social media. It reached ESPN, Fox Sports, all those about running backs getting underpaid. Saquon Barkley, he spoke out, and other running backs spoke out about this topic, whether running backs are getting paid too low compared to other positions. Here's my take. I actually don't think running backs should be paid like quarterbacks or offensive linemen. Now, I know that's not what they're saying. And perhaps maybe they might be getting paid slightly under what they probably should, but I think it's super slightly, and I don't think it's much of a thing to make a argument about. I think running backs are getting paid fairly how much they should be getting paid. Here's why. The most important positions on the offense is the quarterback and the offensive lineman. Now, I understand. I just talked about the Patriots and how they need decent receivers, but key word, at least decent. Why? Because the guy who snaps the ball, who starts the play, is on the offensive line. He's a center. The guy who picks up the snap from the center, the quarterback. The quarterback gets it to the wide receivers, to the running back. Before the wide receiver touches the ball, two other guys touch the ball. And guess what? Those wide receivers, those running backs can't do anything without that offensive line. And that's not to say the running back isn't huge, because he's the one who scores. He's the one who puts points on the board. He's the one who wins the games. But if we're being completely honest, the average career for a running back is 3.3 years. 3 years. That's the prime, pretty much. Stops at 24, and it goes down every year. And that's the same for every position. The prime for offensive linemen and quarterbacks is 28. Now, would I give any long-term contracts to running backs? No, and I don't think that's what they're asking. I think they know better. Nobody's going to give them long-term contracts, because every year out the draft, we're going to get some some guy out of LSU, out of Memphis, out of Miami. Dreadhead dude runs fast, fights for every yard, is not scared to clash his head with somebody else to get 2 or 3 yards and help win the game. And then we get rid of him, we dispose him, and then we draft a new one. We don't even have to get in the first round. We can get a good running back in the second round. That's how the NFL works. We can get them through trades. All these running backs are fast. All these running backs have been playing running back since they was little kids. They in the NFL for a reason, and they can be good. They can look better just with a good offensive line. If we're being 100, you have a great offensive line, there's a lot of terrible running backs that can look really good. And it starts with the quarterback too. So like, I think those are the guys that should be getting paid more. And I don't think running backs are necessarily getting completely underpaid. That's just the market we're in. If we're being completely honest, that's just the market. Running backs peak at 24. Offensive linemen, quarterbacks peak at 28. They get the long-term contracts. They get the money because they're important to scoring. Way more. I get it. Wide receivers, they catch the ball. Running backs, they run the ball. All those things. Marketability, they're the ones in the tunnel. They're the ones who probably have the most followers. They're the ones who's more marketable. You see on the commercials, you see them doing the dances in the end zone, kids wearing the number, all that stuff. I get it. But in terms of winning games, and that's another conversation to be had, what really brings the crowd into these stadiums. Is it winning games or is the marketability? Chad Johnson was amazing when he was on the Bengals, dancing in the end zone. I used to love watching the highlights on ESPN. But we're never gonna put him in the Hall of Fame. We're never gonna put him top 5 wide receivers of all time. He never went to the Super Bowl. He went to the Super Bowl with New England, but he didn't play, and they lost. We got to be honest about running backs. I think they deserve how much they get paid. It's unfortunate because I get it. It's a brutal position. That's why it's only 3 years that they're at their prime. But they're disposable. In that 3 years, it could be a great 3 years for starters. And the way the NFL is moving nowadays, it's more passing. They probably don't even want gritty running backs. I mean, coaches, if a guy runs hard and he's special, yeah, of course they're going to take him. But I think they want running backs that can catch the ball, get out in the flat, run slants. It's not the same. Maybe if the game goes that way, maybe I could see more money being used in that way. You know, they got to block, they got to do all those things. But even in the same capacity, it's still going to be a short-term career. That's just how the game works. So that's my take. Now, that's all I got for football. No basketball today. But we got a mega fight. We have a mega fight this weekend. I'm ecstatic. I don't think I'm ecstatic for this fight. Terrence Crawford, Errol Spence, we're finally here. It's been years in the making. And before I give my predictions, give the breakdowns, I just want to say I think Ryan Garcia and Gervonta Tate Davis deserve more praise. Because now we see Canelo is going to fight one of the Charlo brothers. Excuse me for not knowing which one. I think it's Jamal. And we saw Devin Haney versus Lomachenko, which was a great fight. The heavyweight division's heating up. Wilder's back. Fury's back. He's that fight. I think Ruiz is. I think he's an elite fighter, elite boxer. And I think it started with Garcia and Tank. They saw the mega fight. They saw what was happening, the attention. And I think it brought more guys to finally want to make that fight happen. And now we are here. If you haven't been watching the Showtime previews each week, you're missing out. Go and watch that on YouTube. Terrence Crawford, Errol Spence. Listen, shout out to my barber. Because every time I get a cut, I need a cut. I'm definitely getting a cut. He's actually throwing a fight, a watch party this weekend. I'm definitely gonna be there because I'm not paying for the pay-per-view. Love y'all. Sorry, not doing it. We talk about this match since it was booked. Before it was booked, we talked about it. Like, like it's in the works. It's about to happen. He's like, yeah, I'll see what happens. You know what I mean? We talk about boxing a lot. I'm excited for this. We're excited for this. He has Errol Spence. I had Errol Spence going into it. Man, Crawford. Man, if I really like Crawford is a tough boxer, and I think Spence he's a taller guy. He's more polished. In terms of just jab, in terms of just like ring IQ, spacing, footwork, getting creative with his punches. He on paper into the eye test, he just passes it. But I will say, I think Terrence Crawford has that dog in him, where people are gonna say, oh, he can switch hit, he can change up and shoot the right, go and shoot the left with his lead hand. But I seen him get hit when he does that. When he goes to southpaw, I seen him get hit a few times. I think a lot of times he gets hit a little bit too much, and it's the same thing with Errol Spence. The funny part about they both fought Sean Porter, and both of those fights I think were extremely important. Sean Porter, a brawler. I know neither one of those guys. When they both fought Porter, it turned into that fight, and they both won. Crawford won by TKO, and Spence won after it went 12 rounds, and the judges picked him. I think Crawford just has that dog in him, but I also think Spence is a little bit more polished as a boxer. So if it's tough, and this is what makes a great boxing match. But you know what? If I'm being completely honest, I got Spence. I know. Threw y'all for a loop. I got Spence. The reason why, when I look at that Porter fight, and I've seen multiple Spence fights, and I've seen multiple Crawford fights. A lot of Crawford fights. What I love about him too, he's a finisher. He's a closer. That's not to say he can't win matches by points, and he's not technical. He can be technical. He can throw the uppercut, the overhand, the jab. I seen him be technical. I seen him use IQ. But also, what I see a lot too in the Porter fights and some fights, he gives off rounds. He takes off rounds a little bit. He still got that dog in him, so he's always fighting. He can throw punches very hard. He has that swagger to him. He's a very humble dude, but when he gets in the ring, he's not humble at all. But I think Spence, who I've seen Spence get hit too. Ugas hit him a couple of times before those later rounds he caught on, and I think the later rounds is when Spence kind of takes off, because it's not going to be one of those fights. I don't see anyone get knocked down. I don't. I do see a lot of good exchanges, because both of them aren't. I wouldn't call either one of them defensive fighters. They're not. They're not defensive fighters. They get hit, and they can take a hit, and they can give it back. They could punch, but I don't see either one of them going down. They don't. Too much pride in both of them. So I think it goes 12 rounds, and I think Spence might win majority decision. I got Spence winning in a majority decision. I think Crawford comes out, takes 3 out of the first 6 rounds, maybe 4. Maybe I got Crawford taking 3 out of the first 5 rounds. I think Spence is trying to figure the timing out. counter punch. I think he turns it up in like the second round, or like second or fourth round. I think he turns it up enough to get those rounds just so it doesn't get too ahead of him. And I think in the championship rounds, that second half of the fight, I think Spence just turns it on. I think he starts countering. I think he starts jabbing. I think he starts connecting, going to the body. I think he starts being a little more calm and cool and get more aggressive. I like Spence off his back foot more than I like Crawford. I think Crawford comes at you. He's aggressive. I like Spence off his back foot. And when you got those type of fighters in the late rounds, you got to go to the guy who's just like more poised, more of an overall boxer. You can't forget the dog, and that's what makes it so interesting. Both of them in their mid-30s. So I'm not going to say age plays a huge role, but this is a big fight, and I love it. I love it. Now, that's it for sports. I got to talk battle rap. Summer Madness 13 came out. Smack announced it. URLTV announced it. They dropped it on Instagram. That's when I saw it. Shout out to URLTV.tv. Shout out to Jerry West. He's on the car. I just got a phone with him. Shout out my guy. Listen, man, people been going crazy because I know RBE's been dropping a mega card, and I'm gonna talk about it too. Get my prediction as soon as they drop their full card. But right now, URL dropped their full card, so this is what we're doing. Summer Madness. You got Shotgun Shook versus Fawns, T-Top versus John the Dawn, Jerry West versus DNA, Tay-Rock versus Av, Hollow the Dawn versus New Jersey Twerk. It's in late August in Houston. I'm trying to go. I told my friends we might have to go. Show them the card. They was like, who's on it? I don't know. Now I know. So I might have to hit them up. I'm gonna have to go, bro. Listen, I'm not gonna do the predictions now. Not for this card. I want to do it as soon as we get closer in August. That's when things are gonna heat up, sports wise and battle rap wise. But I will just say this: some people are happy with the card. Some people are. I think Jerry West versus DNA. I think that's definitely a dope Summer Madness battle. I definitely think it for Summer Madness. I think it would be like the first or second battle on a Summer Madness card. But it's in the middle, and it's only 5 battles. When you compare it to T-Top, John the Dawn, that's cool. They top tier dudes. I mean, so is Jerry West and DNA. Shotgun Sugar and Fawns, that's cool. Tay-Rock and Av, okay. Cave Gang, shout out to Rock. Hollow the Dawn versus Twerk, I think that's crazy. Shout out to Twerk. He's been on a killing spree. He's been wilding, small rooms, big rooms, URLTV, small leagues, everywhere. 1 round, 3 rounds. He's been killing. He's been murdering it. He's been going up. You can just tell on Instagram, or Twitter, how he in his rounds, the way he's talking about how his life is changing because of how crazy he's going. And then Hollow the Dawn, battle rap legend. So I think this is just, I'm not mad at it. That's a good Summer Madness main event. Perfect, actually. Because do we really still want to see a Hollow the Dawn versus a Murder Mook? No. That would be a typical Summer Madness main event. But New Jersey Twerk versus Hollow the Dawn. No, I don't think anyone's mad at that battle. That's a fire battle. Industry people know who these two guys are. The battle rap culture knows who these two guys are, depending on who. It doesn't matter what a fan you are, what league of a fan you are. If you know battle rap, if you know hip hop, you probably know Hollow the Dawn. If you know hip hop, you probably know New Jersey Twerk, especially if you know battle rap. A lot of his clips went viral. So I like the Summer Madness 13 card. I like it. And I can't wait to give some predictions as soon as we get closer to that date. Also, it's been interesting. Eazy the block captain, Trenches, his league, also part of Chrome 23. That's when it drops on his YouTube. He's throwing an event September 9th, New York versus Philly. I love it. And it's in Philly. It's in Philly. Now, I know I'm from Boston, but I'm a battle rap fan. I'm a hip hop fan, so I know how big New York versus Philly is. They're next to each other. They're next to each other, but they're not next to each other. It's Jersey in the middle. It's a rivalry, but it's not a rivalry. When it comes to hip hop, New York and Philly, it's a rivalry, friendly rivalry. But I don't want to talk about that too much because that's September 9th, so I'm not gonna give predictions. The interesting part about this card, not only P versus $3, that's crazy, but we're gonna get the predictions later. Mike P is battling Rosenberg Raw on the Trenches card. Now, for those who don't know, some people probably sports fans, some people not. So you might not know the battle rap storyline. I'm gonna just break it down for you quick. Mike P, he was on URLTV. He voiced his distaste for how he was treated while at URL. He feel like he deserved more money, better battles, more exposure, all that. And now he's at the Trenches card. And if you don't know, this Trenches card is thrown by Eazy the Block Captain, which is in partnership with Remy Ma, popular battle rapper. Popular rapper, excuse me. Popular rapper. Remy Ma is. She's made hits like All the Way Up, Conceited. Top female rapper in hip hop. She's known. But that card has had issues with URLTV. URLTV, big business. So for Mike P to, voice his concern and go to this league, it kind of says like, hey, I'm leaving. Taking my career in my own hands, and I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at Mike P for that. I think he deserves it. And I wish the best for him. This is a big card, it's a big opportunity. And I think you're gonna start seeing more guys do this at URLTV. Slowly but surely, their roster is going down. Some of it's because of budget stuff, and they no longer have the same partnership with Caffeine. And I think that's why you see 5 battles on Summer Madness. And I think why you hear some people talk about the card, because Summer Madness is WrestleMania. It's for battle rap. It's in Houston. It's gonna be big. It's gonna be promoted crazy. And I think Surf being in jail kind of messes it up a little bit, because when Surf was on Summer Madness Battle JC, I believe that's Summer Madness, he was doing press shows, talking to the fans day before. They be throwing events, all this, and making it a spectacle for a weekend. Now I can see this year it's kind of just gonna be an event and then it's done. I mean, they're gonna probably do face-offs, they're gonna do more trailers, they're gonna try to promote it, do all they can, put money into advertisement, but it's not gonna be the same when the battlers don't have too much of the star factor. I mean, these are dope battles. Tay-Rock, he's a star. Something about when a Surf does, or when Mook battled Geechee, he brought Busta Rhymes out. I think Fab was there. I think a bunch of rappers, mainstream artists was there. There's certain guys that, like, when you book them, they cost a lot, but they turn into a spectacle, especially depending on where it is. You book Mook in New York, you're gonna get the state. You're gonna get the state out. Lux in New York, you're gonna get the entire city out. Harlem. Same with Mook, Harlem. I think this one is, I'm not mad at it, but it's definitely not the same. And I like that Twerk is battling Hollow. I like the West versus DNA. I like the Tay-Rock versus Av. But Mike P going to the Trenches card, I think it's a wake-up call for URL. We talked about it last episode, and we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. There's still a lot of time between September and August. And if you don't remember what happened last time, URL started calling some people on Eazy's last card and told them to get off it if you want to be on our platform still. They got off it. Nonetheless, we'll see what happens, man. But that's it. I thought it was gonna be a short episode, but it wasn't. I enjoyed this one. We're gonna get into a lot more stuff. The summer's always slow, but it's gonna pick up during the season and all that good stuff. Slam Ball's back. I love it. I remember when I was a kid watching it. But nonetheless, man, thank you for watching. It's the Brown Bostonian, aka Sir South, aka Kevin Parrington Turner. Share this, we like it, do whatever you want, please. Appreciate y'all. Peace.